You outline 4 things that you say like microdosing seems to offer people. And then based on these 4 things, you characterize, quote, that microdosing, quote, makes it potentially helpful for any physical or mental condition, end quote. What are these 4 things that it appears microdosing does that can seemingly potentially be helpful for any physical or mental condition?
Well, before we describe what those are, let's go back a step to Dr. David Nutt, formerly the drug czar of England. And when he saw a list of 15 or 20 things that microdosing helps with, he was incredulous. And it's like, it's hard to believe that. So that got Jim thinking that there are other things that are good for everything.
So what he was saying is, I'm suspicious when someone says such and such is good for all kinds of things.
And fair enough. Yeah.
And I think that's a very healthy way to be if you're thinking in a system in which each condition is somehow separate. And so pharmacology loves that, because the narrower you get, the basically you control the kind of market for that one symptom. And a way of saying it is, well, nothing's good for everybody. And everybody goes, yeah, that's true. Nothing's good for everybody. And then I say, well, how about sleep? Is that good for everybody? Yeah. Is that good for everything? Well, yeah. How about exercise? Well, yeah, that's good for kind of practically everybody, for practically everything.
Yeah, hydrating.
How about,
yeah.
Right. How about improving your diet? Well, that's kind of good for everybody. So you notice we're entering a different category. How about better relationships? Is that good? For things like arthritis or psychopathology, yes, relationships help. Okay, so there's another category of things that tend to work across, not across systems, but inside the same container, which is, remember, the body-mind is an artificial distinction made by people who wanted to have their own departments in the university. So when we then look at why is microdosing beneficial for pain and depression and for postpartum upset and for coding, it's all right. It's okay, because what you're saying is if I rev up the whole system so it runs better, it's no surprise that the individual parts run better, especially the ones that need it. So that's a different way of thinking. And we will say that Professor Nutt gave us a nice endorsement for the book. So he's overcome some of his skepticism.
So once you're at the place where you're going, well, microdosing seems to help almost everything from the physical and mental problems we discuss in the book to a wide swath of performance possibilities in arts and sports, then we get to looking at, well, what do we know about microdosing? What are we pretty certain about? And sometimes we're at the point where we know things about high doses for sure. And then with microdoses, the research shows similar signatures, but a lower amplitude. So that's some of what we're going on. And some things we have more research and we know more about, and some things we're only getting glimmers of. This is one of the reasons that microdoses help. So one of them is certainly neuroplasticity, and especially the work of Connor Murray and neural benefits and neural complexity. We know that microdosing, just as macrodosing does, either tunes down the default mode network, or there's more entropy, or there's more plasticity. We know that something is really going on physically in the brain for certain. We also know that the classic psychedelics, at least, are strong anti-inflammatories, and that inflammation is affects lots of neuropsychiatric diseases, and everybody feels better when there's less inflammation. So we sort of have that also. Saying that people return to equilibrium, or there's, the body wants to heal itself. It's homeostasis. It wants to bring it back into its natural state of optimal functioning. That seems to be happening as well. And then the fourth one that we called out that you remind me of is that it seems to enhance the placebo process, as we'll call it, which is a much longer story and more involved, but it does seem helpful if people, it makes people more able to believe and their ability to heal, and then they can actually heal better or perform better. And there may be even a fifth one coming down the line. It may be that microdosing supports mitochondrial function, but we don't have enough research. And in some cases, like neuroplasticity, we know a fair bit, and the book goes into some detail. With respect for inflammation, it's behind where we are in the research on neuroplasticity, but it's definitely coming along, and it's an exciting topic. And another one which I know you're going to bring up is the whole gut biome access, and does microdosing play a role there? And we think it does also. So it seems like there's all these little disparate factors, and microdosing, we know, actually plays a role in all of those.
So yeah, we've got increasing neuroplasticity, decreasing inflammation, neural inflammation specifically, I assume, bringing us back to equilibrium, which once we're in equilibrium, our body can start doing the thing it wants to do, which is to heal and rest and digest. And then what was I'm going to go back to placebo at the end here. What was the fifth thing that you said?
Just mitochondria.
Mitochondria. Okay.
There's some beginning evidence that microdosing might directly enhance mitochondrial function,
which
is like cellular energy.
Yeah. Cells, right?
Yeah.
Little power factories in each cell.
Yeah, it's like we all remember high school biology. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Okay.